In this presentation, we will talk about the basics of cascading style sheets, or CSS. CSS was developed by the World Wide Web Consortium as a means of customizing some of the styles in HTML content. Specifically, through cascading style sheets, we can change things like color, typography, and layout of different pieces of our HTML pages, either in bulk or individually. We can create what's called style sheets within a single HTML document, or we can create them in an external document and then link them to multiple pages. In this sense, we can separate style from structure. There are 4 types of CSS, and in this class we'll focus on 3 of them. We have inline styles, embedded styles, external styles, and imported styles. Inline styles are the most basic. In the body section of an HTML document, we have a series of elements, or tag pairs. For each of these tags, we can use the style attribute to specify different customizations we wish to make to the style of that particular element. With embedded styles, we utilize the head section of an HTML document, and we use the style element, or more appropriately, the style tag pair. Here we can set up styles that apply to the entire document. External styles allow us to separate CSS from the HTML code. We create a separate text file with a .css file extension, and we place all of our CSS code into that file. We then link it to our HTML page using the link tag. Imported styles are similar to external styles, but they're the one type of style we'll pretty much gloss over for this course. When it comes to the syntax of CSS, we have a series of rules. Each style rule has a selector and a declaration block, which are really a series of name and value pairs separated by a colon. There are some examples here shown on the screen. For example, for the body tag, we're specifying a variety of different styles relating to the color, to the background, to the font that's used, to the line height, and to the font size. These are just a few of the different things we can specify when it comes to cascading style sheets. Here's an example of a page that does not use CSS. The URL is shown at the top of the screen. Feel free to type it in and check it out. If you look on the left, you see the HTML code. Now this should be familiar from your readings in chapters 1 and 2 and the material you completed last week. There's no CSS code in this particular document. The document itself is shown on the right. But what if we want to add a little bit of CSS customization? Here we see the same document with a few small changes. The changes are highlighted in blue. As you can see, we have, with the body tag, a style attribute that's being set for the background and for the font and for the color. For H1, H2, and the HR tag, we are also using the style attribute. Here we're setting up styles that apply to that specific element and that specific element only. Here we're customizing the body, H1, H2, and HR tags. Now if you look at the preview on the right or type in the URL at the top, you can see how these styles affect the final product. Notice that the content of the page has not changed, merely the style. Here's a similar idea using an external style. And again, the URL is at the top, so feel free to type it in. Notice here we have, in the head section, a link tag. The link tag allows you to refer to a file that is separated from the HTML page. In this case, it's linking to a file called schedule.css, which is of type CSS, or a text file, and the REL attribute indicates that it's a style sheet. By placing this into the head, we import the styles that are in this schedule.css file, and they will apply to the whole document. The schedule.css file contents are shown on the right. Finally, if we check out this page, with the URL listed at the top, we notice that we can apply a style to a whole class of elements rather than a specific element like H1 or H2 or the body. If we use a style tag, for example in the head section of a document, we can specify what's called a class. Notice here within the style tags, I'm creating a class called red text. Notice that it begins with a dot. In between the curly braces are the style attributes for that particular class. In this case, I want everything that has this class, red text, to have a color of red. If I want to apply this style to a particular element, I just simply use the class attribute of that element. And we see a couple examples of that here on the bottom, and you can find other examples in the URL listed at the top. We start off with the tag like UL or P, and then we use the class attribute, and we assign it the value of the class name, in this case red text. Notice that you don't see the dot before the word red text. The dot in the style tag indicates that this is a class. When we use the class and refer to it through the class attribute, we do not use the dot. That's the end of this presentation. Be sure to check out Chapter 3 for more on CSS.